Good morning, 5th grade, or afternoon, depending on when you're seeing this. So we're going to get started on our optical illusion. So we're just continuing from what we did in class last week. I know we practiced in our sketchbooks and we have those beautiful sketches. If you're at home and you have a piece of computer paper, you can use that to also practice. I gave everyone a Post-it and 3 pieces of final copy paper. And so it should be stacked like this. You should have a pink one and a blue one. So today we're going to be working with the pink week, which has 3. And so you can use that Post-it to do what we did in class, which was trace those squares so that we had something to practice on, which is why I suggest you have a piece of computer paper so that you can make 6 different squares to practice on. I'm going to break down these 2 optical illusions for you in this video, and then I'll post another video with 2 more optical illusions just so that you have some variety and you can pick for your final copy which 3 you want to do. So sketch a box, right, with your Post-it. I've already sketched 6, so I'm ready to start. So we're going to work with this one first, and I'm going to place it right here so I have my reference, and I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so this is what we're trying to create, right? And so I'm going to start drawing, and let me fix my box. I'm going to start in the bottom left-hand corner to create that first triangle shape. Remember, we go from thick to thin, from an edge to a point. So edge to a point. Now I have my point here, so I want to start edge first to a point. And then I have my point here, so we're going to do edge to a point. And we're just going to keep doing that until we get to the center of our picture. So I know I'm doing this without a ruler, and my lines are pretty straight. I've been doing this, not optical illusion specifically, but art for a very long time. So it's easy for me to get these nice straight lines. If you have trouble with your line work, which some of us do, that's completely fine. You can use a ruler to make these straight lines, or you can use the edge of a book, the edge of your folder, anything with a straight edge to create those straight lines. So as you get closer to the center of your picture, you're going to see it's going to start to turn, and you're just going to keep going with that edge to a point, edge to a point, edge to a point. I hope you can see edge to a point until you get all the way to the way center of your picture. There you go. So pretty easy optical illusion if you just follow edge to a point. Make sure to practice in your sketchbook, because if you start on this beautiful piece of paper and you mess up, well, you only have 3 and you need to turn in 3 for class. So I'd rather you practice in your sketchbook and then, or on a piece of blank paper, or on Post-its if you have a bunch of Post-its at home, and then work on your final copy. Make sure to use pencil first before you go back in with Sharpie. And so now I can just outline all my lines that I created. And you can kind of see that when you were drawing your edges to a point, all the edges line up with each other, and that's what makes your optical illusion curve, because all the edges are facing the same way. You really want to work slowly and carefully, because the more care that you put into your project, the better the result is going to be, right? If you're rushing through it, then it's not going to be the result that you want it to be. Feel free to do this while you listen to music, because that would totally be some calming vibes. Plus, it'd probably make you feel better because we're not in class and I miss you guys tons. There you go. And then I can even outline the edge of my box. So I have 1 optical illusion down, 1 more to go. So I'm going to move on to my second square. The next optical illusion I'm going to be working with is this one, which is like some funky triangles going on. So for this optical illusion, I'm going to need a thick Sharpie and a thin Sharpie at home. So if you don't have a thin Sharpie at home, you could probably use a pen to draw your lines as long as it's a black pen. Even those inky pens would work pretty well, but try to grab 2 Sharpies if you have them, okay? So we're going to start with pencil just like before. For this project, it's important that we find the middle of our box because that's going to be where our triangles meet, right? So I found the middle, it's about here. So I know I can add a dot here and a dot here, and that's going to be where my triangles come from. So I'm going to start at the corner of my box, draw a line up to that dot, and then draw another one back. And then I'm going to stick to this corner where the line met the bottom of my box, and I'm going to draw that line up to the corner of my dot, and then down to the bottom corner. And I'm going to do the same thing on the top. Straight line to the corner, straight line, and connect these. And there we go. So now we've got like 2 triangles, right? A diamond or a rhombus, and then 2 half diamond or rhombuses. So now what I need to do is create more what I call mountain peaks because it looks like a mountain within my triangle. And so an easy way to do this is actually to start in the middle with a dot, and then you bring your line down. The reason why we start in the middle is because then we have a straight kind of line of dots and our peaks don't get curved and all over the place. So it just helps to guide us. So there you go. When you get a small triangle like this, you want to stop so that we don't have a teeny tiny one on the inside. So same thing, dot for your mountain, dot for your mountain, dot for your mountain until you get to the bottom. And we do the same thing, but now it's a V. Still start with your dot, then drag your lines upward. Okay, now I'm ready to color. I'm ready to outline actually in Sharpie. I'm going to use my thin Sharpie to outline my lines. And if you don't go directly on your pencil, that's okay. You can always go back with your eraser and erase your pencil lines so that it looks like a clean and smooth finish. So the reason why we outline these lines before we continue drawing those 3 kind of line work on our inside is because it gets a little confusing when we have all the lines drawn and then we start to color. So we actually want to do the coloring first before we continue on to our line work on the inside. So for this project, we're going to color every other one, right? So this one, the first section is going to be white, and then my next section I'm going to color in Sharpie. I know I'm trying not to block your view. And then we'll do the next section. And then I would do the same thing here. So skip the first section, then I would color this section in. And then the same thing, skip that next section. So it's like a black and white pattern. And there we go. And then I would do the same thing on the top. And so some of my edges might be a little rough, but I can always use my thin Sharpie to go back and fix it. And so this is the only one that I made that actually has a smaller triangle. If you like that effect, you can draw small triangles using your fat Sharpie. And there you go. So now we're going to work on the inside, right? So the same thing, we're going to start with pencil. Draw a dot in front of your last dot, and then we're going to drag our lines to the edges. So this looks like, to me, like a Pac-Man mouth. All right, he's trying to eat something. And then we would do the same thing on the other side. And then for my middle, it gets a little complicated because there's so many different points that we have to connect, and we don't want our triangles to start to look funky. So I'm going to start actually with a point at the bottom, so I know where I'm going to start from. And then I'm going to drag it out to the sides, and then start with a point at the top and know where I need to connect. So I can either choose to connect from this line, or I can drag it down. Then you get a pretty good triangle. So start with a point at the bottom, bring your lines outward, start with another point at the top, connect your lines downward. And so this really lines up your triangle so that it looks seamless, like it belongs, like it fits exactly right. There we go. And then we would do the same thing. Outline with thin Sharpie. And so the most important part of optical illusions is your precision. That's why I'm having you outline your work. I know it could be a lot easier if we just started in Sharpie, but there's no guarantee that we won't make a mistake. And that's the part that I worry, that you put in all this hard work, and at the very end, when you're working with your Sharpie, you make a mistake and you get very frustrated. So it's easier when you plan everything out in pencil, so that if you made a mistake, you can always just erase it, instead of making a mistake with Sharpie and then not being able to fix it. There we go. And then the same thing I'm going to do for the coloring. So skip that first one, color in the second section. And then if I want a smaller triangle on the inside, I can always take my thin Sharpie and draw a little triangle and fill it in. And then you would do the same things on the other side, right? Fill in this section. And there you go. Now you have two optical illusions. Remember, you can take your eraser and erase those pencil lines so that you have a nice, clean, seamless optical illusion. So these are the two that are going to be on this video. I'm going to post another video with two more optical illusions. I just need you to pick 3 of them, or you can do the same one repeated for each of your 3 final copy. So this will be due on Google Classroom next Thursday by 12 noon. So maybe you can space your work out so that you don't have a lot to do